UFC NOCHE going down tomorrow. We are here late on a Friday night, but if you guys see me late on a Friday night, and if I'm putting out another episode to break down this card, that usually means that I've kind of made some switches to my picks, and I've done a little bit more research. And so yes, I've made some switches to my picks, and I'm gonna go through those with you guys right now, and I'm gonna go through this whole card again. But I'm gonna keep it under 10 minutes. It's not gonna be a long video. I'll keep it as short as possible. I'm gonna give my picks, my final picks, and my outcomes for these fights tomorrow for Noche UFC. So let's start getting into these. Um, yeah, man, it's just like the week goes on. You put out the initial picks video, right? But you just kind of hear some people's thoughts on some fights, and you watch your own, tape and stuff, and you get a little bit more, like okay, this could happen, or do your little homework and stuff and take notes. But there are two pick switches that I've had on this card, so we'll get to those, man. But first off, we have Sonato versus Donchenko. Again, I've told you guys how high I am on Donchenko's striking. So I have Donchenko winning this fight by TKO KO, and I think he looks great in this finale, the tough finale. I think he looks great. I think he gets a finish, and Sonato's gonna have to get this fight to the ground to kind of, you know, stay in this fight. So, but it's the gap of the striking. I just think Donchenko is just going to be way too good. So give me Donchenko by finish, TKO KO, and he gets his UFC contract. Next fight we have Montserrat Rendon versus Elise Pereira. So this is going to be interesting, guys. I'm going to go. My pick is Pereira, but I'm not confident in it because this is her UFC debut and she's fought nothing but absolute cans in the regional scene. But Rendon isn't that great either, and she's 36 years old, and she just kind of is what she is. She's not really much. There's not much growth in her style. Now, where this kind of gets complicated is this is going to be Pereira's toughest test, and does Rendon get some takedowns here? And if she can get some takedowns, we're going to see Pereira kind of fight. Try to fight from the bottom and trying to get back to her feet, and we don't know how that looks yet. So that is the big question mark. But I would have to assume that Pereira has been just working her takedown defense. I wonder if Elise Pereira has just kind of been muscling her way through these fights. If opponents are trying to take her down or not. She is so big, and she looks like a weight class above because she's just so tall and lengthy, and I'm wondering there's not much technique behind her takedown defense, just kind of all muscling her way through these fights. But you're at the big stage now, and you have to clean this stuff up, and you kind of have to get some technique in your takedown defense. So we'll see just how much she has been working on that. I'm gonna go with the young UFC debut, Elise Pereira, to win this fight. But my favorite, I would say, outcome for this fight or bet is this fight does not go the distance. Just because if Rendon doesn't get this fight to the ground and then Pereira is caught on her back and trying to get herself back up to the fight, on her feet, Pereira could get tired, exhaust herself trying to get back to her feet. The moment of being in the octagon and, on this big stage and you're fighting the UFC. So, the adrenaline can really gas her maybe. And if Rendon's just on top of Pereira, she could just, ground and pound and win him by TKO. Or the striking gap of Elise Pereira can just be too wide to where Pereira is just landing at range and kind of gets Rendon out of there. So I'm going to go pick is Elise Pereira, and my guess is this fight does not go the distance. Next fight we have Costa versus Coria. Now, I was kind of going back and forth with this, man. After watching some tape on Alden Coria, I like what I see from him, man. I really do. I really like what I see from him. I think he can be a nice addition to this flyweight division. He can be a really nice talent here. Um, but this may be, but I worry about Costa. If Costa wants to just trade punches with Correa, I think Correa can land some nasty shots that may put Costa away. Costa does have some really nasty leg kicks and calf kicks. He's actually finished 2 fights by damaging the mobility of the leg of his opponents. So I think there's finishing ability from both sides of these fighters. Um, and it was hard for me. I know you see that the big wide money lines here, but I think this fight is a lot closer than these money lines are telling. I'm taking Costa just because of the UFC experience, but I think Correa can make this fight pretty close if this fight is on the feet. But so my pick is Alessandro Costa, but my favorite bet is this fight. This fight does not go the distance. Next fight we have Zachary Reese versus Cedricus Dumas. I'm taking Zachary Reese pretty easily. This is probably one of my like confident picks of the card. Dumas just too much outside stuff interfering with training and just personal life, just kind of maybe hindering his skill set and him progressing in his skill as an MMA fighter. There's just so many stuff going outside of. There's so much stuff going on in his life that I just don't know, man. It's hard to back him. I think Zachary Reese, with the long limbs that he has, I think he can get this fight to the ground and just wrap the long limbs around Cedricus Dumas's body and just kind of lock up a submission here. So I do have Zachary Reese by submission, and I think Reese could use the teep kicks to keep at range. Um, and yeah, I just think I think Reese is going to get a hold of the body and lock up a submission. Next fight we have Jesus Aguilar versus Luis Gurule. Now, this is another one I was kind of going back and forth with, but I think Gurule just has enough skills to get past Jesus Aguilar, who has been an underdog before and has came up on top as an underdog in the past in a few of his fights. I think Gurule knows that Jesus Aguilar has a very, very dangerous guillotine, and I think he can just stay safe in that department. Um, and I'm gonna take Gurule here by decision. Aguilar is a tough guy, um, but Gurule's wrestling and striking, I think he can stay safe in the jujitsu and the grappling. So I'm gonna take Gurule by decision. I just think he just stays on top of Aguilar, control time, and with the time spent on the feet, I think Gurule can just land the more meaningful shots here. So give me Gurule by decision. And then next up, we have Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos, one of my favorite fights on this card. Tatiana Suarez is back. I'd love to see her kind of getting more, active. This is going to be her second fight in 2025, which is great to see because this is really not her thing to fight twice in 1 year. Um, but yeah, I'm going to take Tatiana Suarez to win by submission or decision. But I just love the wrestling, and I love Tatiana Suarez when she's in guard and is just offensively active when she's getting the grappling going. Amanda Lemos is very, she's tricky on the feet. She could make Tatiana Suarez work in the beginning, but I think as Tatiana works for these takedowns and these getting pushing Lemos against the cage and kind of just making Amanda Lemos work for these defense takedowns and stuff like that. I think Amanda Lemos could get tired and just get a little bit sloppy in her technique of defense. And Tatiana Suarez could find a trip or just a good takedown, locking up her hands around the body and getting these takedowns. Suarez is pretty strong. Um, and then we've seen Amanda Lemos kind of taken down in the past quite a few times. So Amanda Lemos doesn't really have good takedown defense. Now, Amanda Lemos can work off her back, but I just believe in Tatiana Suarez's offense. and the grappling, wrestling. Like, yeah. So I think Tatiana Suarez is going to bounce back here in a big way, getting a very, very meaningful win against the tough Amanda Lemos. Um, Guillotine is like Tatiana Suarez's favorite submission, but we could just see a lot of wrestling, laying and not laying and praying, but just laying in a good position and guard and kind of just putting some ground and pound out there for Amanda Lemos. So this could be, a boring fight for you guys to watch, but it's going to be good just to see Tatiana Suarez getting there again and, fighting at a, high caliber women's strawweight fighter. So sub or decision, but I got Tatiana Suarez winning this fight. Next fight, we have Claudio Poyes versus Joaquim Silva. Now, earlier breakdown video, I picked Silva to win this fight. I went back and watched his last two fights against Clay Guida and Drakkar Close. He got rocked in the fight versus the OG and Clay Guida. And he was taken down in that fight, in those two fights, I believe, as well. And seeing that he was taken down a little bit too easy, uh, I'm not liking it. So I'm gonna pick switch here. I'm gonna go with Claudio Poyes. I think I like the layoff for Claudio Poyes. He's 29 years old. He's still kind of in his prime, still growing as a fighter. But seeing Silva get taken down the way he did, it's there, man. And I think Claudio Poyes is going to attack grappling and wrestling early in this fight. And, against a 36-year-old who has kind of had the miles on his body and just, I'm taking the younger fighter who has a bit more give and can go the distance, and it cannot be so taxing on the chin and the body. But, he's still primed and 29 years old. But I just think he has the grappling and the wrestling to kind of slow down a striker like Silva. And yeah, man. So I'm pick flipping here. I'm going Poyes to win this fight by decision. Next fight, we have Medina versus Todorovic. I'm going Todorovic by decision as well. I don't think he has the power to put out a Medina. Um, yeah, Todorovic just has good kickboxing to kind of stay on the outskirts of range and kind of just pick his shots. Medina hasn't really shown us anything besides being a good punching bag, and really does bring on the fight. Like, taunts his opponents to like bring it on, and doesn't. I feel like he wants to put more of a show on while getting his ass beat than putting out some offense and getting some respect in this fight. So give me Dusko Todorovic. I mean, I don't like it because I don't really love backing Todorovic, but Medina just doesn't have anything to show us and get credit for. So give me Todorovic. Next fight we have Santiago Luna versus Quang Lee. Man, I really like what I saw from Luna and the tape that I saw, the matches and what he can bring. He's going to be a very exciting addition to this bantamweight division. And he's still 21 years old, which is really, really exciting. But Quang Lee kind of, again, I think this is a very big prove it to me spot for Santiago Luna. But I'm taking the UFC experience in Quang Lee, and I think he has the jiu-jitsu and the striking to maybe not match the volume, but to kind of gain that respect on the feet. And if Luna wants to go to the ground, I think Quang Lee will kind of handle his own. And Quang Lee as an underdog, I couldn't pass up. So I'm gonna go with Quang Lee, but to win by TKO. So next fight we have Hernandez versus Ferreira. I'm going with Alexander Hernandez to win this fight by decision. This is a tough fight for Hernandez, but he looked great on the scale. He could be on the juice, you know what I mean? Shoot me up, baby. But I'm going Hernandez. I think he's looking good. I think he's finding his groove in this 155 lightweight division, putting together some really good performances. But I think he's just building confidence in himself, which can go a long way. He hasn't had the greatest history of putting things together, but I just love the confidence. I'm loving the quick turnaround for this fight against a veteran who is really good all around. But I think Hernandez is going to be quicker to the punch, and I just think he has a bit more crisper, cleaner striking in this fight. If Diego Ferreira, I think he may have a little bit more power sting, but Hernandez can be durable at times. His chin is kind of holding up. He does take a bit of punishment, but it's holding up. But if this fight gets to the grappling, that's where things can get a little bit shaky for Hernandez. But again, he has really looked good at 155. 145, I'm questioning this man, but at 155, he's really turned things around. So I'm taking the streaking Hernandez to win this fight against OG and Diego Ferreira by decision. Next up, we have another switch for me. I had Kevin Gastelum earlier this week, and then I found out that this man is making food review vlogs, eating tacos and rating tacos 5 stars or whatever. I don't even know. Kevin Gastelum missed weight today, and he missed weight by like 5 pounds. I just can't. Man, it sucks because I was pretty confident in Gastelum. I thought he could take the punches of Dustin and kind of give his home back. And I think Gaslam is only losing fights to where people have a high, advantage in the wrestling and stuff like that. But in grappling and wrestling advantage against Gaslam, that's where I feel like he's only losing those fights. But to see him not be serious, losing, missing weight, concentrating on his food vlog life and dude eating tacos, like it's so crazy, man. Like I cannot back this guy. So I'm pick switching here to Dustin Stoltzfus. Dustin looked great on the scale. He weighed in clean. He looked great, in great shape. Now, but the thing, like the skill set stuff is like I can't, I don't know. But I'm gonna pick switch here to someone who really wants this shit, maybe wants it more than his opponent. That's probably my main reason why I am pick switching. At plus 200, give me Dustin Stoltzfus to win by decision. Next up, I'm taking Jared Gordon over Rafa Garcia. I just think Jared Gordon does everything that Rafa does, but a little bit better. Pacing, volume, striking. Now, can Rafa Garcia maybe chin a Jared Gordon? Because Jared Gordon has had some chinny moments, kind of worries me a little bit. Yes, that could happen, but I think Jared Gordon can get in there and just make shit nasty, bro. Like he can just get in there, mix it up. I think he has a bit more sting and sting on his punches. I think he could, make Rafa kind of respect his game a little bit more. And if Rafa wants to wrestle, like he's gonna have to work hard and work his ass off to get these takedowns on Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon's tough to take down, man. So in the striking fight, I like the power, the edge, the volume, from Jared Gordon. So next up, I'm taking Rob Font to beat David Martinez. Yeah, give me TriStar. Give me TriStar. Rob Font has figured something out, and I think that has a lot to do with the new coaching at TriStar that has really opened up the game of Rob Font and just they have good game plans that they stick to. Rob Font is kind of finding a new, not maybe reinventing himself, but he's just looking like a better version of himself and putting things together a little bit more. And yes, he's still getting taken down, but he's finding a way back to his feet. And that wasn't always the case, but he's getting a little bit better in those aspects where he was a little bit kind of weaker in his style. But I don't know, man. Zahabi's kind of worked his magic, and Rob Font is kind of benefiting from the gym change, and so I think this is a lot for David Martinez. It's going to look like a lot. The boxing, David Martinez really loves to move around the octagon. I think Rob Font's going to cut off the cage, let off some nasty combinations of boxing to the body, the head. But we can also see Rob Font just work a nasty jab, and with the reach advantage in this, I think this is going to be a lot for David Martinez to handle. Now, David Martinez could have some advantages with the leg kicks in this fight, but uh, Rapon has fought some good, decent kickboxers twice in a row with Gene Matsumoto and Kyler Phillips. He's kind of seen the kicks already by kickboxers before fighting a David Martinez, who, if you want to rank the last three opponents of Rob Font, including David Martinez, I think David Martinez would be at the bottom. So I think Rob Font is going to take care of business here. I get people are very high on David Martinez, but you got to prove it to me to be, and David, from Rob Font hasn't been finished yet. So I know he doesn't wear damage well, but no one is knocking out Rob Font. And I don't think David Martinez, out of everyone that Rob Font has faced, is going to be that guy. I don't know. And then lastly, I got Gene Silva knocking out Diego Lopez. Yeah, Fighting Nerd's gonna. I think he's gonna work Diego Lopez. I think Diego Lopez does have a chance here, but I think the faster striker Diego Lopez just looked a little bit slow in that Volkanovski fight. And I know this is a totally different fight, but the speed advantage and disadvantage, and like Diego Lopez just looked slow with his hooks and like just wasn't getting there. So I think Gene Silva is going to be a bit more precise with his punches, have that power, and when he wants to turn into a dog, he's going to do it. And I think Diego Lopez is going to have a little bit more trouble staying up with the aggressiveness of a Gene Silva, and I think Gene Silva might be a champion soon. So yeah, guys, those are my quick picks. Damn, it's 21 minutes. I was trying to keep this under 10, but goodness gracious, I got carried away. Those are my final picks and my predictions for these fights tomorrow. Hopefully, you guys enjoy yourselves. My socials are in the description below. I'm going to post my parlay, my Hail Mary parlay. I'm going to post it on Twitter tomorrow, and I'll pick my spots here and there where I want to place my bets throughout the card. So you guys want to stay up with that, you let me know, but I will be posting my final picks. Well, you guys heard them right now, but I'm going to post them on my socials tomorrow morning, and you guys will see the Hail Mary parlay tomorrow as well. So thank you guys again for just checking in. I know it's late on a Friday, but thank you guys for checking in again. Hopefully I've done enough to earn your sub with this breakdown, and good luck on your picks, man.